Hello and welcome to another episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith. Today I want to talk about a book that I was cajoled into reading. A couple of friends of mine, Jessica Dwyer and Sarah Buck, insisted that I read this book, even though I'm not a fan of vampires. Anyone who's watched some of my reviews should know that. I've mentioned it many times. But they talked me into it. So I picked up a copy. I did warn them that if I didn't like it, I would expect them to pay me back the $10 that the book cost me. They could split it up any way they wanted between the two of them. But fortunately, they saved their money. Saved money because Blood Oath by Christopher Farnsworth was fantastic. And what you've got in Blood Oath is Nathaniel Cade, who is a vampire, who is under a blood oath. Get it? A blood oath? Anyways, under a blood oath that enslaves him, for lack of a better term, to the President of the United States. And he's been under this oath for 140 years. He has to do whatever the President tells him to do. And obviously it carries over with the office of the President. So whoever's president has control of a vampire. And you've got Zach Barrows is a young, up-and-coming, hotshot politician. And after he's caught canoodling with the president's daughter, he's whisked away, by Agent Griffin. And Agent Griffin takes Zach to this secret room, the secret chamber underneath the Smithsonian Institute, where Nathaniel Cade, the president's vampire, lives. And Zach is told that his new job is to be the liaison and handler for Nathaniel Cade. And so that's your basic setup. And then when a shipping container full of body parts is discovered, Nathaniel Cade is called in. He and Zach go to investigate. And Cade notices these bits of metal, these mechanical parts, attached to the body parts. And he recognizes these mechanical bits and realizes that somebody's trying to assemble an army of dead soldiers, Frankenstein style. And so the main thrust of the book is Nathaniel and Zach and Agent Griffin trying to figure out who is doing it, where they're doing it, and what their plans are if they succeed in creating these undead soldiers. So that's it. As I seem to always say, that's it in a nutshell. I thought this book was fantastic. It's 470 pages, and I flew through it. Farnsworth, at least in this book, which is the only thing I've read by him so far, has a really simple, in a good way, not in a bad way, a good, simple, clean writing style. It's very crisp. It keeps the action moving along really well. He's not overly verbose. It's not too sparse. Again, he hits that sweet spot that I've mentioned before, where he gives you enough, but not too much. Just really good, clean writing. And he does a few things in here that I really, really love. One of which is to incorporate other bits of horror into the story. So what I mean by that is, for example, when Zach Barrows first goes to Nathaniel Cade's lair under the Smithsonian, it looks to him like it could be another room of the Smithsonian, because there's all these things displayed. And as we're told many times, Cade is an apex predator, and as such he tends to take trophies. So one of the things there that really stands out to me is this, I think it's a man-sized fish skull I think is what it says. And the little plaque reads that it's from Innsmouth, Massachusetts, 1936, which of course is a shout out to the Deep Ones from H.P. Lovecraft. I'm a huge Deep Ones fan. I actually have a little, can't see it very well, but I have a little Deep Ones pendant right here that I got from Arkham Bazaar. So there's that. There's also something labeled Brainerd's Steam Man, 1865. I don't know what that's from. I probably should have looked it up before I did this video, but I didn't. So if anybody knows what that's from, let me know. So I like that kind of thing. He throws in these little things, these little touches. And then throughout the book, most of the chapters, I would say, have little introductory pieces, and most of those are from the briefing book that Zach Barrows gets. So it's telling him about vampires, about Nathaniel Cade specifically, so he knows what he's dealing with. But some of the little introductory pieces are news stories and such. One is, and one I didn't recognize, and I did try to look this up, and I can't find anything. So if anybody knows, if anybody recognizes this, please let me know. But there's an article about Camden, New Jersey in 1957, and there's a Dr. Carlton who assembled several athletes into Frankenstein monster type creatures, and they killed people. I tried to find something about that online. I don't know what that's from. So if anybody knows, Dr. Carlton, Camden, New Jersey, 1957, Frankenstein monster type thing, please let me know, because it's got to be from something. Because there's that. Then there's Evans City, Pennsylvania, 1967, when the dead came back to life and attacked a farmhouse where several people were barricaded inside trying to survive, which of course is obviously Night of the Living Dead. There was an incident in Blairstown, New Jersey in the summer of 1980 when some young people went to an old summer camp that they're going to reopen. And everybody but one girl was slaughtered. Obviously, Friday the 13th. So I love these. I love when authors kind of take all of these disparate pieces and make a cohesive whole. They pull in from different stories, different movies and books and whatever. It just adds that little special touch. They're little Easter eggs for people like me who are going to recognize most of them. Obviously, I don't know them all. But I love that kind of thing. He also, there's one spot with a lot of Easter eggs in one little tiny spot. Cade breaks into this clinic. No, not the clinic. It's someplace else. Sorry. He breaks into a federal building, I think it is. And he engages a bunch of security guards. And the first one was identified as W. Ellis. And my first thought was, well, Warren Ellis, comic book writer and novelist. But, it could have been a coincidence. Anybody, it's just some W. Ellis. But then, the next three security guards are identified as C. Gage, D. Cook, and S. Kurtz. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's Christos Gage, Darwin Cook, and I believe it's Scott Kurtz. That one I'm not sure of, but I'm almost positive it's supposed to be Christos Gage and Darwin Cook. And then the final one is G. Morrison, who's got to be Grant Morrison. Any one of those individually, I'd say could be a coincidence, but when you put them all together, you've got 5 people from the comic book field, as well as other fields. Like I said, Warren Ellis is also a novelist. Christos Gage, I believe, has written, may still write for TV. Darwin Cook's done all sorts of cool stuff. But I love those little Easter eggs, recognizing those names, and saying, hey, I know who those people are, and I typically love their work. Huge fan of Warren Ellis. Christos Gage. I used to pick up anything that he would do. Darwin Cook. Meh. Sometimes. I believe he's the guy that has been doing the Parker graphic novels, so that's a plus on his side. Scott Kurtz, that's the one I'm not sure of. And Grant Morrison, his run on Doom Patrol was just fantastic. And I know a lot of people love his other stuff. But anyway, Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs in books. But you don't have to recognize any of this stuff. You don't have to know about Blairstown, New Jersey, or Evans City, Pennsylvania, or Innsmouth, Massachusetts. So you don't need to know these comic book people to enjoy this book. Those are just little things for geeks like me to give us a little extra joy when we read something like this. The characters, really good characters. Nathaniel Cade, for the most part, is not the type of whiny vampire that I hate. I think when he first became a vampire, because he was still dealing with it, he was a little whiny. We get flashbacks, we get his origin story, kind of late in the book. He's a little whiny about that, but the main part, the present day stuff in the book is he's just a badass, which I like. Zach Barrows starts off as a pompous ass, but there's some character growth there. Not complete, he's still a bit of a pompous ass at the end of the book, but there's some growth there. Agent Griffin's cool. The bad guys are really cool. There's some sleazy henchman types, sort of lower echelon bad guys, and then the main bad guys that are sort of part of the supernatural realm. They're pretty interesting, and there are levels to what people know. Apparently, there are a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot. There are people in the government who know about the supernatural world and that it's encroaching on ours. And there's a lot of politics involved in how to deal with it. Some people want to stop it. Some people want to harness it and use it, which is one of the issues that's going on in here. It's the bad guys that are trying to build this Frankenstein's army, but there are people in the United States government that feels that we should be building a Frankenstein's army and using them. So there's all sorts of shady stuff going on, which I like. And there are, while this is self-contained, there are a few little loose threads that are going to create, I will assume, an overarching storyline. I actually just picked up the sequel to this, The President's Vampire, because I loved this and I ran across the sequel at Half Price Books, so I snagged it. I know there's a third book as well. I think that's as far as it goes so far, 3 in the series. It could be 4, but I don't think so. I could be wrong, what do I know? Except that this was fantastic. And typically I like to space out books by the same author, but I may, after reading a couple of things that I have to read first, I may jump straight into The President's Vampire, because this was just fantastic, and I want to see what he does next. I want, the next adventure. I want to see more of those little overarching story pieces and see how it's all going to start to fit together. Because, as long as it doesn't drag on too long, I kind of like that in a series. It makes it a little more cohesive. It's nice that each book is mainly self-contained, but you have these little pieces that are going to carry over and hopefully build to something huge. And that seems to be what he's setting up. I don't know. I'm not inside the guy's head. I don't know. I haven't even read the second book yet. What do you want from me? Okay. So let's see. Oh, I didn't mention this is published by Jove/Berkeley/Penguin, depending on where you look on the book. On the spine it says Jove, on the back it says Penguin, and the copyright page it says Berkeley. From what I can tell, Jove is the tiniest part, and then it moves up to Berkeley, and then Penguin is like the huge corporation. Something like that. I don't know. But either way, doesn't really matter, because as always, I'll have a link for this in the description below. So you don't have to worry about who published it. I just like to give them a shout out when I can. But see, that says Jove. That says Penguin. So yeah, that's Blood Oath by Christopher Farnsworth. Really fantastic. A quick, easy read, but not in a bad way. It's not a simplistic book. I don't want to give that impression. I just think he's got a nice, quick, easy style. So there's that. Now, excuse me. I mentioned my two friends that talked me into reading this, Jessica Dwyer and Sarah Buck. And I wanted to talk about the fact that the three of us work together. And Jessica created Fangirl Radio and the Fangirl website, and Sarah and I are co-hosts on Fangirl Radio. And that's on Jackalope Radio, Thursday nights. I believe it's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, if I have my time zones correct. But on the show, we talk about all things geek, talk about TV shows, what's been on for the week, comic books, games, movies. We have news and interviews. Basically, if it's geeky or nerdy, at some point we're going to talk about it. And so I think you should check it out if you like that kind of stuff. I'll put links for Jackalope Radio in the description below, and I'm going to put a link for SunCloud? Something. I just looked at it and now I can't remember. But there's a place where old episodes of Fangirl are archived. So I'll put a link for that below. I'll put a link for the Fangirl website below, just to help promote my friend Jessica. And this is something she puts her heart and soul into, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I love working with her and working with Sarah. We have a lot of fun. I usually get to promote different tabletop games, new stuff that I've been playing. I know I've reviewed a few things here in the low budget review show, but I don't review that many games here, so I get to talk about them on there. And I love talking about each week we have sort of a TV roundup, and we don't always agree on how good certain episodes are, so there's a lot of give and take there. Jessica watches pretty much all the comic book based shows, and Sarah is kind of our wrestling expert. Probably shouldn't even say kinda. She's really into the wrestling. I don't know that much about the wrestling. I used to watch it. I may have to start again. But anyway, I'm sort of way off topic as far as the book goes, but I really wanted to give a shout out to Jessica and Sarah. They're fantastic people, and in a little bit of self-promotion, I just wanted to talk about Fangirl and share the links, so hopefully you'll check it out. Check out the archives. I'm relatively new to the show. I was a guest co-host a couple of times in the past, and it's just been a month or two that I've become an official co-host. Woohoo! But it's a lot of fun. I hope you check it out. Actually, Jackalope, check out their whole schedule if you're into anything. If you're into geek stuff or horror stuff, paranormal. Those are the shows I know about. They have all sorts of different shows, but I think they have other stuff too. Just I don't pay attention to all of it. But anyway, check it out. Again, links below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If you know what happened in Camden, New Jersey in 1957 with Dr. Carlton and some sort of Frankenstein monster-esque horror, let me know. If you know what Brainerd's Steam Man from 1865 is, please let me know. If you know... Oh, there's something that popped up there. If you can verify that Scott Kurtz is the other security guard, please let me know. I'm positive it's Warren Ellis, Christos Gage, Darwin Cook, and Grant Morrison. It's just the other one I'm not sure of. But I think it's Scott Kurtz. Looking at my notes here. Everything else I'm pretty sure of. Please, just comment. I love hearing from people. If you have any tips on how I can make these better, these videos better, let me know. I've had a few people. I started putting notes over here because someone said I should do that, because even with the notes I still pause and say way too much. But it would be even worse if I didn't have this over here. Someone else said I needed to talk about how, if the book was actually well written. Although that can be a matter of opinion. I mean, obviously some things are horribly written, just riddled with errors, and that's fact. So, I mean, most of what I read is well written from a technical standpoint, and I think after that you get into opinion. And typically, if I'm talking about it on here, it's something that I think is well written. I have one video, I think, where I kind of call out some continuity errors and such. But, yeah. So, I like those kinds of comments. Let me know what you think. If someone said one of the videos was boring, and that's fine. I want to hear about that. I know I tend to ramble, go off topic a little bit, so call me on it. But also want to hear the good stuff too, if you like the videos. If you've read the book and want to talk about it, I have made all comments sections open for spoilers. Just please be polite and post a spoiler warning. But we can talk about anything in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I think that covers it. Everybody stay warm or stay dry or stay cool, depending on where you are. We're supposed to get another 4 to 6 inches here in Ohio tomorrow. It was like 14 below last night. It's supposed to be a little warmer tomorrow. Lots of snow, but all the way up to 32. It's like a heat wave. But everybody just be safe out there. It's a dangerous world. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, read more books.